Simche Tamche Dewa Tan Devi Juda Devrai Juji, Simche Tamche Dunge Tan Dunge Ke Juda Devrai Juji, Simche Tamche Dunge Mebe Dewa Tamba Tan Mejevrai Juji, Simche Tamche Nirin Chada Nida Devi Tanyam Tseme Pala Nebrai Jureji.
Thank you for coming. Like Mimi is introduced, my name is Tashi Zangmo. I work in Bhutan as a director for Bhutan Nuns Foundation, which was founded in 2009 to work, help the living conditions and education for the nuns, Buddhist nuns in Bhutan. And I don't know how many of you had been to Bhutan or how many of you know about Bhutan. Anybody? Just one? Thank you, at least there is one. Sometimes because I went to study in US in the year 2005 till 2009 I was there. And each time I speak about Bhutan, when I say that I'm from Bhutan, everyone used to say, where is it? So I used to always say, it's on this planet. So I just have to make sure that the people know before I start talking. And Bhutan is in between, in the south of China, north of India. And we are bordering with Nepal also. And we used to be, it used to be monarchy until 2008. And I don't know how many of you heard about Bhutan, that our king had given it to the people and decided to democratize the country in 2008. And that's the first time that we all learn about elections and what does it mean by voting and this and that. And now we are a democratic country, and just this past month we had the second election, the 5 years of election. Since 2005 we had the Prime Minister, first in the country, and then this is the second election. So we are kind of very young when we compare to many of you as a country, and we are learning to be, just to understand what democracy is all about, and all that. And in terms of population, we are less than 1 million. We have less than 1 million people living in a country size of about 14,000 square kilometer. It's very small. People usually like to compare Bhutan with Switzerland, the way it looks with the mountains and but when I went to Switzerland, I didn't find it same at all. Switzerland is, they call our hills mountain. Our hills, I mean, the mountains are very big and yeah, very high. Like I'm sure many of you must have been to Nepal. You know, it's similar. And also, of course, Switzerland is much developed compared to Bhutan. Bhutan is still, you know, when you go to the villages, especially away from the capital city, you will know that that many of our people in the village live like, you know, still they are in the 17th, 18th century, you know, type of lifestyle, which is, I don't know whether it's good or bad. You know, some people, our younger generation are marching towards Western style of life, and then the Western people, I feel that they are, oh, your country is so beautiful, the way you are, you should keep it the way it is and don't change, and you know, so we are kind of in that middle of that, you know, a little bit confused. So that's about Bhutan. And our in terms of, we were so fascinated to find out that there is such a thing called Buddhafield Festival. And since I heard that last year through Mimi, and she wanted me to come last year because I was working with Buddhist nuns, and you know, we do fundraising and all that, and she said that, you know, you have to come, all kinds of people come to enjoy this festival, and she knows about it, and it's a wonderful festival, and I should come. And then this year we decided to come. She worked very hard to have us here, and it's really wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling that, in fact, I feel like we should copy from you. It's a Buddhist nation, but we don't do as much as you do here. You know, I think we should learn from you all. And we are enjoying. It's so much positive energy, nice people. You know, I think it's a. Have you heard about GNH in Bhutan? Gross National Happiness? I think there is GNH here, especially in this Buddhafield Festival, as long as it's concerned here. So we, you know, the almost 90% of our people are Buddhist in Bhutan, and then the rest are, some are Hindu. There are very few Christians, I think, but they. We usually don't know about them, but there are in the southern part of Bhutan, there is many Nepalese live in Bhutan, Bhutanese Nepalese, so they usually follow Hinduism, and otherwise it's a Buddhist country, and I think Buddhism. I mean, we used to have previous to our kings, we used to have spiritual ruler. Like in Tibet, like Dalai Lama, I mean, it was a Tibetan teacher who migrated from Tibet to Bhutan in 1660s, and he started unifying the country and made it into one nation, and named as Drugyul, that means dragon country. And the religion we have, I mean, it is of course the text and whatever we practice is Tibetan Buddhism, and before that our country was, every state had a king and a kind of a ruler head. But when Zhabdrung Namgyal was the spiritual teacher who came from Tibet, after he came in 1616, he unified and made it one country, and every district, he decided to create a zone which is a fortress, and so I mean, we have again tomorrow to talk about the culture part. We will share with you all about that. So today is just to talk a little bit about the country, and my friend will share about the nuns' life and her personal stories about what Buddhist nuns means and what they do, their life, and also the Buddhist nuns' life in Bhutan in general. But I thought I will share with you a little bit about Bhutan and its culture and, you know, their geographical locations and so on, so that, you know, usually we assume that everybody knows, but then it's a very small country, people don't get to hear about it much, so people don't know, I realized. having traveled outside country. So that's why we thought, it is important today to share with you a little bit about the history. And then, we can, whatever, there is so much we can say, but we can also, during the Q&A, whatever you are curious about it, we can share with you. And like I said, Buddhism came into Bhutan, of course, in 1616, when the spiritual teacher was there. He, those days, he was a monk, and then he started the countries, the officials, the clergy, everything was, he started with the monks. So you will see lots of monks in every zone in Bhutan, and that one also we'll share a little later. And of course, before Buddhism came to Bhutan, it was in 7th century, and before that there was it was, I think, almost like shamanistic rituals and practices Bhutan has done before that, because the Buddhism came with the Guru Rinpoche's visit to Bhutan in 7th century, between 7th and 8th century actually. So that's about the history, a little bit of the history of Bhutan, and then I'll pass my my friend to speak to you about a little bit about nuns, because I work for the Bhutan Nuns Foundation. Like I said, it was founded in 2009 in Bhutan. I guess like anywhere else, women are a little bit behind. I don't know whether you all will agree with me, especially here, but in the eastern parts of the world, I think women are a little bit behind. And then at the same time, more so with the nuns, that why we started our foundation was because we saw that there was dire need for support for the Buddhist nuns, because they didn't have lots of opportunity and they have fallen through the cracks somehow, intentionally or unintentionally. Men didn't give much attention to the nuns' education as much as like monks' education. So that's why we started the foundation to support and uplift their well-being and to provide quality education for them. So that also we will elaborate later, and I can pass it on to my friend here to talk a little bit about the nuns and the lives of the nuns in Bhutan.
My name is Wangmo. In Bhutan, they call me Anim Wangmo, and some just call me Anim. And as she already said, Bhutan was founded by a Rinpoche, a male Lama. So when he established the monasteries in Bhutan, we have 20 zongs. Each district has one big zong. That's a very big monastery, and then also all government important offices. Half of the zong is important offices, and the other half is where the monks reside, and it is also a school for the monks. And then at that time, there was no nunnery in Bhutan. So later, after he unified the country, made 20 zongs in Bhutan, then he didn't stay at the head, like Dalai Lama is the head of Tibet. So we also have Ngawang Namgyal as the head of Bhutan. And later he resigned to go into retreat. Then he appointed two heads. One head over Jekimbo is the head of the spiritual religious head.
Religious and political head. He
Head
divided
where?
into two.
And then the political head was known as Devraja. So that continued for a while. And then now this is the 70th Jekimbo. He's like the Sangha, the king like of the religion in Bhutan. And in those days, Bhutan was like 100% Buddhist. And now we have maybe say like 1% maybe Hindu and some Christians. But Christians, so far we don't have churches as yet, but we do have some mandir, very small. And Then during then there was the Je Khenpo. Now we still have Je Khenpo is one of the highest spiritual leader, and then during the second Je Khenpo's time, the Je Khenpo thought of the nuns, and he established a nunnery away from our whole old capital. We have two capitals. One is known as Punakha, is the oldest capital, and now is Thimphu, is the new capital. So the monks of this monastery, the Zong, they still move in winter 6 months. They migrate to Punakha because it's a warmer place. When summer 6 months, they migrate to Thimphu, and they stay in Thimphu for 6 months. The second Je Khenpo's follower, Kyunkhen Pema Karpo, he Ngawang Pekar, Kyunkhen Ngawang Pekar established a nunnery that was during the second Je Khenpo, and the nunnery was 1 day walk from the Punakha Zong. And this is one of the oldest nunnery recorded in Bhutan. Then the nun there had very good education, and then it continued for like 7, 8 teachers. The head teacher became the nun, was the head of the nunnery, and somehow in this century it had gone down. So we are now, since there was no written record how it actually went down. So when I became nun, this nunnery, the houses were there, but no one was living in this nunnery anymore. Although they were individual nuns living scattered away near the monasteries, they took refuge in their teacher and they were living. So when I became nun, this nunnery was not there, though there were some senior nuns. And then later the senior nuns re-established this nunnery again. So now this nunnery is still living, and there are about 25 nuns living in this Chachung Karmo, the oldest nunnery recorded in Bhutan. And it is 6 hours walk from Punakha Zong through deep forest. So one day when our teacher had gone down to the village to do some puja for some people, and on their way they met the tiger, which is very rare. Normally you meet bear and leopard is very common on this stretch, so we are normally not so scared. So the only trick we have is we make a lot of noise while on a path, because to keep them away and that they are not disturbed by us, and they know somebody is coming, so they will just go away. They will not be on our path. So bear and leopard is a bit common, so we are not a big deal. And that day they met a tiger. They met just opposite. They didn't know how to react. Then our teacher was holding a stick, so she didn't know what to do. Then she just closed her eye and just threw the stick at the tiger. When they opened their eyes, the tiger had disappeared. So normally our nunneries are very far, and then in this nunnery they teach like reciting, and then they're not taught very philosophy was not really taught there. They're taught to practice practically how to do meditation, then how to recite your prayers. Then we have like reciting and then memorizing the text. The whole day they'll teach you to memorize, and then when you're into retreat you will repeat and repeat what you, and then that has a certain system. And this nunnery is very known in Bhutan for Nyungne practice. I don't know if anybody know about Nyungne. It's Avalokiteshvara here is a practice for this one. And then in 2 days we eat 1 meal during this practice, and 2 complete days makes 1 practice. 1 day, 1 practice.
1 set.
1 set of practice. So on the first day, we are in the morning we are allowed to have tea, no bread. Then in the lunch you are allowed to have meal as heavy as you want, but no meat. And then you will have no dinner. You are allowed to have tea or juice, no porridge, and then you can no milk. It should be diluted with half water. And then after this, then in this day, it's not that you just keep quiet. You have to do a lots of chanting, a lots of prostration, 100 prostration each section of the puja in a day. So 1 day puja is 3 sections. 1 before breakfast, 1 after breakfast, 1 after lunch is 3 sections. Each section you must do at least 100 prostration. I don't know if you know what is prostration. Then the second day, by the day you get up in the morning, they will ring the bell and then you go for puja. Everybody must be silent. It starts at 4, then you take the precepts, then the teacher will give you a precept, but you are not allowed to talk. You listen to him and answer to him whether she or he, whether you can keep the precept for the day or no. If you cannot, you better don't join. Otherwise you join, and then you are not allowed to eat, not even drink water. You cannot swallow your spit. You must throw it. So it's like you cannot drink, you cannot eat, you cannot talk, but you must chant the 3 sections still. The morning section, afternoon section, and the evening section. And then the next day again, if this is going to be just one time, then next day, then you finish up with the puja. First section you must finish, then you're allowed to talk. They'll give you water to drink, then that's how you will start your day. So this nunnery is known for doing this practice. So normally almost every summer they have lots of this, like about 100 times. 100 times means 200 days, but not continuously done. It's done like sometimes say 8 section of practice means 16 days and 1 day of ceremony after that. Then you are given a lots of feast to eat because you haven't eaten for this many days. So this monastery was so known for that, and my teacher is so known for doing this practice. She has done 1,000 times. That means 2,000 days of this practice. So she was known for that. And now we have a few now the nuns are spreading in the country. We have now about 24 nunneries in the country and about 1,000 nuns now. Although we are very scattered, each nunnery has like 25, 30, and very few nunneries have like 80, 90. Although our nuns do lots of practice in the monastery, but we are never into charity. Charity was not a practice, wasn't a kind of practice. Ours was like just going to do puja when somebody is sick, or if somebody has a baby, they invite monks, they invite the lamas to give the baby a name. So that's why in Bhutan we don't have a family name. We too can have a similar name. That doesn't mean we are same family, maybe given by the same teacher, so we will have a same kind of. Ours is not the surname, it's the first name, then you'll have similar names. The first similar name means you may be a student of same teachers, so that's how our names are given. And normally when we travel out of the country, since I have single name, Anim Wangmo, they say, what is your family name? So I just repeat and I write Wangmo 2-3 times just to fill up the form. So as such we didn't have. And then normally in a nunnery our life is like, it depends. If you are studying, early morning at 3 you get up, then you wash yourself, then you will start memorizing your text. Then before breakfast you go to your teacher, whoever has memorized the amount what you have to memorize for the day, maybe one verse or 1 page, what according to your ability the teacher gives you. So if you fail to do so, you don't get breakfast for the day. And then after the breakfast, then you go for rituals if you have to do certain. So it depends on what you are doing. And if we are into our puja section, then the whole day is chanting and chanting and chanting. Then there's another way you do. Some nuns go into retreat. So the first, as a nun, if you are a nun, then you must go into before you start with any meditation course, we have to go for Ngendro, the preliminary practice. Actually, preliminary practice, Ngendro means going before any practice. So this consists of like 100,000 of prostration, 100,000. Then after that you go for 100 symbol mantra. The mantra has 100 symbol, so 100,000 of that. Then you go for mandala offering. That's like offering. Then there's a kind of substance that you use, and then that you do 100,000 times. Then to get the blessings from all the Buddhas, then is a Guru Yoga practice. So that's when you finish this, then. Traditionally, what we do as a nun, you go into 4 months retreat. 1 month only prostration, 4,000 in a day, and 1 day is of 4 sections. Before you will complete this before 6 or 7. So each section is 3 hours. Then we don't talk, and then 3 hours of each section. We have 4 sections in a day, and then we will do each section is 1,000 prostration. Then in a day, then you finish 4,000 prostration. So it's same followed by all 4 practices, and then when you finish 4 months, then it's a complete of preliminary practice. Then after that you can go for any meditation course, but if you haven't completed it, the teachers will send you back to do the practice, so before you come into any other meditation course. So it's considered actually very important. So you go to any teacher, they ask you, have you done your Nyandro? They will not ask you, have you done your 9-year course? So 9-year course is a part. If you are given the chance, you must study. But otherwise, they will ask you, have you done your Nyandro? If you haven't, then they send you back to do your Nyandro. So this is how life as a nun. Then the other thing is, you might be wondering how does the monastery support us, or how do we make our living? It depends on which monastery you live into. Some monastery provides you everything, food, your place to stay, everything. And some monasteries are like retreat centers. And these kind of centers don't provide you anything. You must make your own little kuti. You are given the land, it's free. You don't have to buy, you don't have to pay, nor do you get any registration. Any time they can remove you from there. But we just make our little kutis there, and then our family help you. Sometimes we go around looking for friends or family friends that will help you to make the little kuti, and then also for your food. That's how most of the time we are so dependent on our family. So now, since nuns don't go into charity, we are not given the training how to help. Besides doing our own practice, we don't go to teach. Nuns are normally not invited, or now it's improving, but normally we are not invited. So people don't even know very much about nuns because they don't teach, and big monasteries are only for monks, and there are no nuns there. So mostly people don't even know what the nuns do, or whether they will be allowed to invite the nuns or no. So that's why now our Dr. Tashi is actually helping, giving training to nuns like us, then so that we can serve the society in a better way.